another sensation, another thing that we can notice in our body is rest. You kind of see this whole column here is rest. See rest, hear rest, feel rest. That's kind of a specific kind of sensation. And when we start paying attention to the rest in our bodies or in our senses, well, some interesting things can happen. It starts to edge us towards the sort of spacious nothingness part of this solid stuff. And as we do that, we're going to go from there and start to move into paying attention to some flow. You might, as you sort of really pay attention to rest, it has a quality of sort of like, there might be pain, but there might be parts right around the pain or even within the pain, if you start paying closer attention, that are actually restful. Right next to it might be a chunk of movement. Over here there might be some rest right next to it. And as we pay attention to the rest, what starts to happen is that tends to sort of penetrate and fluff things up, and we become more aware of the rest that's interpenetrating things. Because on some level, right, like I was talking about quantum physics and all that before, like if you have an atom, technically, I heard this, description of an atom. So an atom is made up, it has a nucleus, and it has electrons, and it has, nucleus and electrons, and the electrons flying around the nucleus. If you put it if you sort of zoomed into it and made it, if the atom was as big as, I think, a pea or something that size, a coin that size, the electron would be in the nearest field around it would be like as far away. It's like if you were standing in the middle of a football stadium and the pea or the coin or whatever was in the middle, that's the nucleus, and the electron would be out in the upper row of seats, and it would just be like the size of like a grain of sand. So to put things on that scale. So in an atom, that's how much space there is. It's like 99% space. But somehow you put a bunch of them together and it turns into this thing. So actually, there's a lot of space. There's a lot of nothing. There's a lot of rest inside of everything that we think is solid. And so as we start to pay attention to the rest, we start to sensitize ourselves more to that quality of things. So, and when that happens, then we start to become more aware of less aware of the particle nature of things and more aware of the wave nature of things. And so things might start to flow. You might start to become more aware of movement, how things are actually moving. Like, oh, I thought my knee was solid, or this pain was solid, and now I'm noticing, oh, actually it's pulsing, or it's vibrating, or it's stretching, or it's pushing out, or it's gripping. There's movement in all of those things, and we find out, like, oh, this pain is never going away, it's never changing, it's been the same for 40 years. Well, we pay attention to it, you pay attention to it, you actually find out that, oh, it's actually not, it's actually changing. And when we start to notice the changing nature of it, sensitize our system to that, we know it might start to change more, and it might start to break up. And this can apply to anything that we think is solid.